Hello, everybody. Welcome to Cartoon Boom. This is a show where we wake up with a Saturday morning sun, popped on the floor with a big bowl of sugary cereal, and watch our favorite cartoons, both old and new. I'm Joseph. Taz, is that you?
I'm Chris.
Oh, you're Chris. Okay.
You had no idea. I fooled you?
No, you fooled me.
You thought it was him. I've been Wikipediaing Tasmanian devils, and now I know how to sound exactly like the real thing. So here we go.
And now you just have to be super aggressive and bite through steel, and you'll be good to go. You're all set.
Exactly. No, we both were actually looking up a bunch of Tasmanian devil facts before this. And they're fairly spot on with the show, aside from like exactly how he looks. But dang, these little guys, oh my goodness.
Yeah, I was most surprised to find that they actually spun in circles. So that tornado thing isn't just a random add-on. Like, that's obviously an exaggerated version of what they already do, which is crazy. Yeah. I never knew.
They're also real mad all the time.
They're so angry, and they stink. Yes. So really, all these things tie to Taz.
I love it.
So this morning, we watched Taz-Mania!
And this cartoon was suggested to us by Travis Wirtz. So thank you, Travis.
He put the Taz in Taz-Mania. You love Taz-Mania. Come to Taz-Mania. We mean you. That's a song that I remembered even this late, even years after I had watched it.
Yeah, I never knew the real words. It was one of those like, Tasmania, Tasmania, like I knew the melody and the word Tasmania. And at some point I thought they said, come to Tasmania. At the end, I think they say road to Tasmania. There's lots of stuff about Tasmania in there. I wasn't 100% sure it was a real place. And now I know it's a real place.
It sure is.
Yeah.
It is an island state below Australia.
Yeah, which makes a lot of sense as to why there was a lot of Australian stuff in this cartoon. Because I was watching this like, is it really that Australian? Like, is this a real place? And if so, is it in Australia? The answer is yes and yes.
So the show Taz-Mania ran from 1991 to 1995, based on the Tasmanian Devil by Robert McKimson, developed by Gene McCurdy and Tom Ruger, produced by Warner Brothers Animation, ran for 4 seasons, 65 episodes, and 121 segments total. It's originally aired on Fox Kids.
I do remember that being on Fox Kids, aka like Kids WB also. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. For a short synopsis, the daily satirical adventures of the Looney Tunes star, the Tasmanian Devil, along with his extended family, friends, and enemies on the island of Tasmania.
Yeah, that sums it up pretty well, to be honest.
Yeah,
I think
there's a lot that goes on here, and as little character as you would think that Taz has, just seeing him in Bugs Bunny cartoons or whatever, like there's actually a whole extended universe around him. And while he's the center of it, there's a lot more to his lore, I guess.
For better or for worse.
So who were some of the actors who played in this show?
So the voice of Taz, Bushwhacker Bob, and Wendell T. Wolf were all done by Jim Cummings. There's going to be a lot of names in this cast that we've talked about before. Jim Cummings being one of them, so I won't get super, super far into all the stuff he's done, but you will recognize his voice. If I bring up characters like, let's say, Winnie the Pooh or Tigger or Pete from, anything with like Mickey Mouse in it. Pete's always like that really big cat villain that always sounds like he's got something in his mouth. You know who I'm talking about. You've heard that voice. It's Jim Cummings. We've got Hugh, who is Taz's father. Yes, if you are not familiar with this cartoon, Taz has a whole family. Hugh, would it be Hugh Devil? This raises a lot of questions.
Yeah, are they devil or are they? Yeah, I guess they would be, huh?
In IMDb, they are just listed by their first names, and none of them have devil except for Taz's. Taz is just Tasmanian Devil. So he's just like basically, if we quantify this by us, he is human. And so it would be like, if your father's name was Jim, he would be like Jim Human. That doesn't really make sense, but neither does calling a character human. I don't know.
I guess your last names are Devil.
Yeah, I'm very confused about all of this now. Anyway, Hugh, his father, and the character of Timothy Platypus was voiced by Maurice LaMarche. Another name that we've brought up a lot of times in doing this podcast. He was the voice of Brain from Pinky of the Brain. You've definitely heard his voice before and heard us talk about him, so I won't keep bugging you about him. The voice of Jean, which was Taz's mother, was voiced by Miriam Flynn. The voice of Molly, Taz's sister, was Kelly Martin. Kelly was the voice of Daphne from A Pup Named Scooby-Doo, and also Roxanne from a Goofy movie. So those are two really, really good prominent roles in the animation world. She also had quite a few starring roles in several TV series, including Christy, ER, and Haley Dean Mystery, which sounds like they're missing some sort of word in there, like the Haley Dean Mystery or Haley Dean Mystery Story or something. I don't know. It's just weird. Haley Dean Mystery.
Maybe that is the mystery, like what word they left out.
Yeah, it's not like Haley Dean, like colon mystery or comma mystery. Just Haley Dean Mystery. I don't know. The brother, Jake, Taz's brother, is voiced by Debbie Derryberry, who is the voice of quite a few well-known characters in the animation world. She's the voice of Jimmy Neutron in anything having to do with, Jimmy Neutron, Boy Genius. Also the voice of Draculaura from Monster High, which you and I really, really enjoy. And we remind everybody anytime we bring it up that we really like Monster High. Strap in for a long one. Dog the Turtle, Axel, Daniel Platypus, Didgeridingo, and Francis X. Bushlad, all voiced by Rob Paulsen. Again, another regular on our podcast. He's the voice of Yakko from Animaniacs, Pinky from Pinky and the Brain. Let me think. Donatello from Ninja Turtles, the 2012 series. Lots and lots and lots of stuff. He's the voice of like Mighty Max from Mighty Max. You've heard his voice if you grew up in the 90s. The voice of Bull Gator was done by John Astin. Now, I think you will find this really interesting because you're a fan of this stuff. Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. John Astin was in several Attack of the Killer Tomatoes movies.
Oh, yeah.
As Professor Gangrene. And he was also the voice of Dr. Gangrene in the Attack of the Killer Tomatoes cartoon. So there's a little fun tidbit for you there.
He also did the voice he played Gomez in the Addams Family TV series, and then also did the voice in the Addams Family cartoon as well. Yep, so he liked to reprise his roles when he could.
Exactly. 1992 was when the Family Addams series came out, the cartoon. Mr. Thickley was voiced by Dan Castellaneta, who's done many famous characters from The Simpsons, such as Homer, Barney Grumble, the Groundskeeper Willie, Krusty the Clown, and many more. And finally, the last one I'm going to mention here is Constance Koala / Mum. I believe that is supposed to be Bushwhacker Bob's mom. Sorry, not mom. Mum. That was voiced by Rosalind Landor. And there's your cast.
Man, that is a huge cast.
That's a big cast with a lot of big names.
Yeah. And you could hear them all, too. Well, I mean, you could hear the voices that you're familiar with from your childhood at that time.
Goodness, yes.
And they were in like all of the most popular shows. So it makes sense that it had the stellar cast.
Yeah, especially like that combo of Maurice LaMarche and Rob Paulsen. Like those two were like anything in the 90s, they're pretty much in it. And those two are together a lot. So you could pick those voices out really easily in this one. And then Jim Cummings as well. If you have a character that sounds like they have a lot of spittle in their mouth, there's a good chance that Jim Cummings is somewhere behind it.
Yeah. And when Rob Paulsen did Axel in this, that was basically his predecessor to Pinky.
Exactly. Yeah. It sounded a lot like Pinky. What's kind of funny is like sometimes when you hear him talk and do some of these characters, his regular voice is not that far off from some of the characters that you love too, which is great.
Yeah, he has kind of a Pinky-ish voice, but that's why it's always so easy to like tell when he is playing something. I mean, he has a lot of range, but he's got like a certain note that is in his voice. You can always tell it's him.
Yeah, a signature cadence.
Yeah, a certain cadence. So here's a few tasty marshmallows out of our big bowl of Taz-Mania cereal. The voice and characterization of Taz's father, Hugh Tasmanian Devil, so I guess that is her last name.
Oh, okay.
Is based on Bing Crosby, and Hugh's brother, Drew Tasmanian Devil, is based on Bob Hope, Crosby's co-star in the Road 2 comedy films.
Interesting.
So both Hugh and his brother Drew are voiced by Maurice LaMarche, as you said.
Mm-hmm.
And you could definitely hear that Bing Crosby in his voice. He just got that cadence to it.
Yeah, absolutely. That was the first thing I thought of when he started talking. It's that super smooth voice, smooth and deep.
Right. Ba-ba-ba-ba.
Boo-boo-boo-boo.
Yeah, it takes me back. It takes me back to Sleepy Hollow,
Sleepy
Legend
Hollow,
of Sleepy Hollow.
yes. That was great.
So several characters in the Tasmanian Devil-centric spin-off show bear some resemblance to familiar Looney Tunes characters. The Platypus brothers in some ways resemble Daffy Duck, both in their duck-billed appearance and in their lispy speech. Wendell T. Wolf has a similar physical appearance to Wile E. Coyote and Ralph Wolf. Buddy Boar's blue jacket and no pants look achieves a similar aesthetic to his porcine brethren, Porky Pig, and speechless Kiwi Bird can run at incredible speeds like the Roadrunner. So yeah, those are some obvious comparisons. And then lastly, there are 5 video games based on the show that were made, 2 by Sega for the Sega Mega Drive / Genesis, Sega Master System, and Sega Game Gear, and 3 by Sunsoft, consisting of 1 for the SNES and 2 for the Game Boy. So there were a ton of Taz-Mania games.
5 games? That's crazy.
Yeah, this was a super popular show in its time.
Apparently. I mean, I knew it existed. I didn't know it was that popular. My goodness.
So let's go ahead and jump into the episodes we watched for today's show. The very first one being The Dog the Turtle Story. This was confusing to me, this title, because I think it was initially, or at least I wrote it down at first as The Dog and Turtle Story. And I was like, and I saw the episode and I was like, wait a minute, it's The Dog, the Turtle Story. And that's going to make a lot more sense when we start talking about it, because Taz rescues a turtle which acts like a dog. And I guess this turtle's name is then Dog. So yes.
He's Dog the Turtle.
So we intro with getting to see Taz kind of wreak havoc and tornado through the forest. Whirlwind, tornado, I don't know what you call it, through the forest as he and sets off multiple traps and then bites through them, as we found out during our earlier research that Tasmanian devils can literally do. They can bite through metal. So that tracks.
Yes.
We get to meet Bull and Axel, the gators. I want to comment on their appearances real quick. So Axel is the taller one with an ascot on and a little hunter's hat or whatever, the little sun hat that you see in safaris. And he is the dim-witted assistant or sidekick. So he's the pinky to Bull's brain. Bull is the short but more intelligent leader of the two. And what's funny about those names, or at least the bull name, is a bull gator is supposed to be a large male gator, like emphasis on large. Like bull gators are somewhat rare because they are so large, but he is like a very short in stature alligator. So the irony of the name is just funny and something that I never caught before until I did a little research on it.
Yeah, I had no idea. I did not think of that as being a type of gator, which makes it even better. It makes sense. I should have thought that must have been the case, but alas, no thoughts came out of this
No
head.
thoughts were given.
No thoughts were had.
Yeah. So what they're trying to do is capture Taz to take him to the Nanook Memorial Zoo in Antarctica so that children there can see what a real Tasmanian devil looks like. So I guess their intentions aren't necessarily a bad thing, but the way that Bull puts it is basically like, I want to take him to this like Arctic wasteland where the kids can see him. So it's like, you know, he doesn't have like bad intent necessarily, but he's still trying to just capture Taz this entire time.
It is weird having animals that are hunting and trapping other animals to put in a zoo, you know, like what a weird like idea that is.
Yeah. That's a strange conceit, but I wonder if it's because like, you know, there are literal animals here who don't have like, I guess who can't speak and stuff like everything else can. And Taz can't really speak either. He just is spouting nonsense all the time.
Yeah, but they definitely understand them or like understand each other because they'll straight up ask Taz a question sometimes. And sometimes Taz is able to answer back like, you know, like a 1-word answer in his silly voice. They're able to do that. So one of the things that the gators do a lot is get trapped in their own traps, which happens a lot in this episode specifically as well. So That's fun. And so this happens pretty early on. A lot of this is kind of an introduction to the world, Taz's place in it, an introduction to some of his antagonists in the Gators, and then they are kind of removed for a while until later on in the episode because they have trapped themselves in their own trap. And then it's Taz looking for food. And I like his watch that like every hand of the clock just says eat, which is great.
Yeah.
So he's looking for food. He's chasing little animals around. He hears some barking. He goes after it, but it's a turtle caught in a trap, which is, it's weird that it's barking turtle. Gets the turtle out of the trap, and the turtle is immediately grateful to him, even though Taz keeps trying to eat it and can't bite through the shell, which is weird that he can bite through metal, but he can't bite through this turtle shell. That's a really tough turtle. But anyway, the turtle just totally acts like a dog. It's super loyal. It's doing tricks. They start playing a game of fetch with a stick, which goes on for a really long time to the point where Taz is getting so tired and worn out. He's just like slumped by a tree with his eyes barely open, just totally
just like
burned
tossing
out.
the stick out. Yeah.
Yeah. Which I thought that was really funny because I'm like, you know what? I get that way with my dog sometimes because my dog will want to play with her squeaky toy and she'll just bring it to me over and over and over. And there'll be times where I am Taz and I'm just slumped in the couch like, ugh. And she'll bring it to me. I just barely toss it. And she just acts like I just did the greatest thing that I could possibly do. And I barely put any effort into it.
I totally get that. We were dog sitting a friend's dog a few years ago. And I was doing, I was working from home. So I was doing my work and I started tossing this little bone it had. And then for the next 3 hours, every time I would bring it, just toss it out, toss it out, toss it out. I eventually had to hide it because I could no longer continue tossing this bone. Yeah, they just don't give up.
No, that's great. He becomes super endeared to this turtle, and the turtle doesn't want Taz to leave him, so Taz takes the turtle home, which is a cave. And I'm thinking, okay, yeah, they live in a cave, got it. But once you get inside the cave, it is like a middle-class suburban home, basically on the inside. His mom and all of his family, you know how Taz speaks. It's like, just nonsense and noises and spitting. His family is all very articulate and talks like normal humans and stuff.
Yeah.
And the mom's like talking on the phone about like a house she has to show later while she's cooking. Just like, being a really busy mom, and she's just like, yeah, I have time to go out later. And it's ridiculous. And then, we slowly kind of get introduced to each of the other family members as well as Taz is trying to hide the turtle. And I get the feeling that Taz is supposed to be like in this setting, if he's supposed to be like, I don't know, a teenager, like maybe a late teens or like an early 20s or something that still lives at home. Maybe still lives at home.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure. He's just the wild child. So they don't treat him any differently or act like anything's different about him. He just is different from the rest of the family, which is kind of interesting. It's a strange setup they have there.
Yeah. But Dog, the turtle, escapes from its little hiding spot and just starts kind of running about the house, trying to be a dog. And Taz is chasing him down and just kind of gets into mischief. First runs into the youngest brother, which is Jake, while he's playing, I don't know, like he's a space fighter person. I don't know.
Yeah, he's like a space cadet.
Yeah. And then they run into Molly, his sister, who is like doing some fashion stuff in her room, like she's trying on different hats in front of the mirror, and then they like knock the mirror into her and she gets flipped around. And then like as each of them get introduced, they start chasing Taz and the turtle as well.
Yeah, I like the dad's intro because he's just like, nothing like a paper and a recliner craft chair for a man who does whatever it is I do for a living. So it's like
that was pretty good.
The dad is the most self-aware, and he's the one who's almost like speaking to the audience because he's saying things that it's like, yeah, we get that. Like, I guess the idea is we're just never going to know what he does for a living, as we don't with a lot of cartoon characters, cartoon dads. And he's just as straight out stating it, like, who does whatever I do for a living, So I liked his character a lot.
They knock him for a loop too. They get into the kitchen, make a mess in the kitchen. The mom sees the turtle and immediately is like, oh, Taz, that's great. And puts it in the pot to cook it.
Yeah.
Taz is horrified, which I thought was funny.
And then it starts doing like card tricks and stuff to show that it's a loyal dog. It starts barking, does card tricks, and so they decide to keep it. And then I like how they ask if it's housebroken, and the turtle's just like, okay, yeah, sure.
Yeah. It had to think about that for a minute. It was like,
right.
I'll just
and
say
then dad says like, go on off and play in a montage sequence. So that's what I'm talking.
Yeah.
He's talking directly to us, and we do see this montage of them fishing, skiing, playing checkers, and then we see dog at the window starting to howl along with other dogs. So this leads us into the next day, because that is at night when Taz is asleep. The next day where dog is wanting to go visit his family. Like, he can't be, I guess, contained as a pet forever.
Right. He's getting depressed. He's sad. He misses his family and everything. So he starts kind of like, running out back into the wild and stuff. Taz is chasing him a bit, not really wanting to give him up. And then they get to this cliff edge and they see across the cliff a family of dogs. And I'm like, oh, okay, now I get it. And the dogs are holding a sign that's like, we miss you, things like that. So then Taz is like, okay, we'll get you back to the family. And he pole vaults basically across the cliff to get dog back to his family of dogs. This is around the time when the gators show back up, ready with some more traps and things. Taz falls down into a hole. And the gators are there ready to finally capture him. But dog rallies his family, who all hop into kangaroos, and they kick the gators down into the hole with Taz, who I'm just assuming rips them to shreds. And then they help pull Taz out of the hole. And I do like the sound effect when they get Taz out of there and Taz and dog are reunited. The family just is like, yay.
Oh, yeah, the kangaroo just give off a dry tear, just yay.
Yeah, nobody cares. They're just like, yay.
No. I like how Bull Gator is just, he's constantly like narrating or commenting on the situation, not really in any kind of extravagant way, just saying like, when they fall in the hole, Axel's like, I don't think I'm going to like it down here, Bull. And then he's just like, well, that's because we're about to be hurt in many indescribable ways, Axel.
Yeah.
It's just like, stating the obvious. Then he starts talking about his family and how he has a sick daughter who the doctors say are going to have to something. And then that's when Taz starts ripping into him.
Exactly. Pretty good. I do like Bull a lot, actually. Bull is one of my favorite characters in this entire thing, mainly just because of the way he speaks is pretty funny.
Yeah. John Aston's just great at giving those like dry deliveries. It's so good.
He's so violent, though, because he's constantly beating Axel over the head.
Yeah, that's something we have to state.
Yeah, anytime Axel says something that Bull thinks is stupid, he either makes Axel pull out a club and beat himself over the head for saying something stupid, or Bull will do it himself and beat him over the head.
Yeah, but he sits him aside and he's like, you know what time it is? You said something stupid, so you know what I'm going to have to do. And yeah, he pulls out a bat or something and just smacks him on the head. It's kind of like a Three Stooges sort of situation, I guess.
Right.
Would be the closest comparison I could think of. But
yeah.
Yeah, it's like he just is really violent towards this guy.
And Axel is a true sidekick because he does have a book called Sidekick.
Yeah, like how to be a good sidekick, right?
Yeah.
So the next episode we watched was Hypnotazed, season 1, episode 22A, and that's the highest rated episode. And I'm pulling this episode-wise from what I saw on Wikipedia because those were listed by dates. Everywhere you look, you're going to see slightly different episode numbers. Like on IMDb, I think it's episode 38 or something. But on Wikipedia, it's episode 22A. So
there we go.
In this one, Bull Gator accidentally hypnotizes himself into thinking he's a Tasmanian devil.
It's pretty good, too. It's very funny.
Yeah. Because okay, so it starts with Bull and Axel trying to capture Taz again, getting trapped in their own trap, as they usually are. And then, Taz ripping them to shreds again, as he does. And they are now saying it's time that we employed science, the science of hypnosis. And so his idea is because Axel is so dim-witted and barely is already in a near catatonic state, he says, that it'll be easy to hypnotize him and convince him that he's a Tasmanian devil so that they then can find out where Tasmanian devils like to, I guess, how to hunt them. And that's his idea. So in trying to do so, he accidentally reverse hypnotizes himself. Bull thinks he's a Tasmanian devil and starts to really act like Taz does, act out everything we've seen Taz do, including the random sounds he makes. He does a tornado spin thing, and he just tries to tear Axel to shreds too.
Yeah, it's funny because like they give us a hint that Axel is too stupid to be hypnotized, because he starts doing the hypnotism and Axel like looks like it's gonna work. It looks like it'll work on him. And then he's just like, I'm hungry. And then Bull tries it again, and we see like this energy kind of show up in his eyes, but then bounce off of him and hit Bull. Like it's just like the hypnotism works, but Axel is so stupid that the hypnotism literally bounces off of him and hits Bull and hypnotizes Bull. And I just thought that was really fun. So then Bull ends up running into Taz, and they kind of have like a little bit of a face off for just a second, and then realize that they're best friends, which is great. And then this whole rest of this episode is them being besties and Axel being so sad and jealous and just trying to break up that friendship. And I thought that was just amazing writing.
Yeah, he gets those. Axel starts trying to pull off like his own traps and falls into that thing that Wile E. Coyote usually does, where he sets a trap. And in this case, he nails a chicken, like a cooked chicken or a raw chicken, whatever, to this large boulder. And his idea is when they try to pull it down, or when Bull tries to pull down the chicken, that the boulder will roll over onto him and then knock him back into his senses. But what ends up happening, like they come and they pull on it, Taz and Bull do, but they can't get it off. And then it just falls backwards onto Axel, who's right behind it. So the classic, Wile E. Coyote skits. And then he tries to hypnotize Bull back to his old self. And then that's when Taz and Bull figure it out and just go in for a tag team mauling is how they refer to it.
Yeah, they were
beat Axel up.
They literally were tagging each other in and out to beat up Axel.
Yeah, yeah, like a wrestling match.
And what was funny too is like Axel's cries as he's being beat up here is like he'll be yelling stuff like, just take the gallbladder. I don't need that one to live. And just some of the stuff that he like says is just
my
so
spleen.
Funny. Yeah. My spleen. It's like, oh my God.
So then his last ditch effort is trying to act like a Tasmanian devil himself. And in doing so, that's what ends up pulling Bull out of it, because he's like, oh, Axel, you've done something stupid. So Axel doing something so stupid that it pulled Bull out of his hypnosis.
Yeah, so that he could beat Axel over the head.
Yeah, but I like how he and Taz are still on the same team for a bit, because Taz hands him the club to beat Axel over the head with.
Yeah, but then immediately Taz turns on him and beats him up too. Like true. Immediately.
Well, that's where Taz speaks, because he's just like, in an uncertain world, I probably can be certain that you're about to pummel the living daylight out of us. And Taz is just like, bingo. And then beats them both up. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was pretty good. That was a fun episode. I mean, these were, the first episode was a full length, like 20-minute episode. Like these next two are like 10 to 11-minute ones. So they're a lot shorter, but they're still quality episodes.
Yeah, I agree.
The last one we watched was Taz in Kiwi Land, Season 1, Episode 61A, and this was a Patreon pick by our friend Epic Otter. So thank you, Epic.
Yes, thank you, Epic. Thank you to everyone that were submitting ideas and votes for which one we watched for this episode of the podcast. This one sounded really interesting, and a couple people pointed this out when Epic suggested it, so this is the one we chose.
This one was wild. So in this one, Taz is in a world filled with kiwi birds. And I don't know, like, geographically if kiwis are on Taz-Mania or if they're just in New Zealand. I don't know that for sure. So we're just going to assume that they can also be in Taz-Mania.
Yeah. I wish kiwis could be here. They're so fun. I want to hang
adorable.
Out with a kiwi. Yeah.
But I don't know if they're still endangered, but I know at one point they really were. So hopefully they're doing better.
Everything's endangered at this point, man. I think we're probably endangered.
Yeah, with everything going on, we're also endangered.
We're endangered.
So, this episode starts with Taz hunting after a kiwi, as he usually does. And like we had talked about before, the kiwis in this one are basically like road runners. They can run really fast. And Taz is chasing after one of them with these two giant slices of bread. They start running so fast that when Taz tries to like close it into between the slices of bread, it like breaks the sound barrier, breaks the time barrier, I guess, or dimensional barrier, and the Kiwi and Taz like teleport into a strange new land full of Kiwis, basically New Zealand, I guess. And then Taz sees all these new Kiwis and starts chasing them around.
Yeah, I just think it's so fast that this little Kiwi runs so fast it pulls him into another dimension, basically.
Yeah.
But like this dimension defies all reality and logic, basically.
Right.
Which is interesting. But when I say that, the Kiwis don't really have to conform to the physics or the reality of that world, but Taz does. So, as an example, if the Kiwis, let's say while they're running from Taz, they run up a set of stairs that goes up like a cliffside, and Taz is chasing them. And then for whatever reason, because this is how it works in this world, that cliffside will just completely flip around upside down. The Kiwis will stay exactly in place. Like, it's totally fine. And, gravity works that way for them. They're still centered. Taz will just completely fall straight down and slam into whatever would be underneath him face first and take a lot of damage from that,
right.
Missing a tooth or something. So it's a lot of that stuff constantly. Like, I like when he chases them up that zigzag stairway, like all the way up into space, basically. And then he ends up falling down, but he falls down all those stairs, like on his butt, all the way down out of space.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So a lot of this is set up like an MC Escher piece, just because it's like stairwells just everywhere. And at one point, oh man, okay, so I didn't know how this episode was going to be at first. I was like, it's kind of weird. It's really out there. It was feeling kind of like Bubsy did, where it's like random things are happening, but I'm like, I'm still with you. Let's see where this goes. And then the funniest thing happened in this whole entire series for me. My favorite part, made me laugh so much, was when he did the catch a Kiwi, when he called that number.
And yes.
So I just thinking about it's making me laugh. So, okay. So what happens is it's one of those like touch tone phone numbers that he finds in a phone book. Because he comes to a what are those called? A phone booth.
A payphone.
And he he gets a big phone book and tries to slam this Kiwi in between it. He opens it to find a number to a service called Catch a Kiwi. So it's giving him all these options. And then it's like, if you'd like to hear your options again, press the pound key. He presses the pound key and a Kiwi comes out with a giant mallet and pounds him on the head. And then it's like, we're sorry, you made an invalid selection. Please press the pound key again. And he presses it again, gets pounded again. And then he gets the idea that's like, okay, I know the Kiwi's going to come out, so I'm going to press it and then I'm going to pound it with this mallet. So he presses it once, nothing happens. And then, like, trying to make this thing come out, he presses it like 5 times and like 5 Kiwis come out and pound him on the head over and over again. And it's just one of those jokes that it's like the Sideshow Bob walking over the rake scenes. Yeah. And it's that it just kept happening so much and then just went over the top in such a way that it just really cracked me up.
Yeah, he gets so angry. It's just like, his facial expressions are animated so well during that. It's really funny to see. I also really liked the King Kong gag as well.
Oh, that was cool. Yeah.
Where he climbs up this pole and then all of a sudden he's huge on the top of the Empire State Building and the Kiwi's flying a plane and shooting at him. Because why not?
Yeah.
That was really good.
It's ridiculous. And so he falls off into what looks like water, has this whole scene of him like falling through the water. And then when he gets back to the Kiwi dimension, Kiwi land, like the water just disappears and he falls straight into the ground. And so really like this whole universe, this whole dimension is just like messing with Taz, and everything he's doing is getting him more hurt. Like this part ends with, so there's a blimp. To describe this, it's so hard to explain. So there's this blimp that appears out of nowhere and Taz is on top of it. And then like he tries to like turn it around so he can get the pilot, which is one of the little Kiwis. And it then turns into a dart and hits a giant dartboard, which then turns on its side. And so he's chasing Kiwi around the dartboard. And then out of this giant dart, it emerges a huge kiwi, I guess the king kiwi or queen kiwi, and it starts chasing Taz. So Taz, knowing that he got here by like chasing that kiwi and breaking the dimensional barrier, I guess with his speed alone, like he starts to chase it again, brings out the bread to recreate everything, and then it manages to get back to his normal world, and then continues the kiwi chase, ends up ends up getting caught between these two trees, which turn out to be the giant kiwi's legs again. And then the episode ends with it chasing him off.
Yeah, so giant kiwi came to our world and began chasing Taz, basically.
Yeah.
There. So.
And then what I liked too was that at the very end where the small kiwi like runs after both of them and then pulls like the scene with it. So these little kiwis are like, I don't know, they're almost like magical beings or extraordinary beings in some way. Yeah.
I love them.
Well, Chris, looks like it's about time we send our inner kids to Taz-Mania to hang out with Taz and the gang, and maybe even take a trip to Kiwi Land, then see what they thought of the show, Taz-Mania.
Taz is super cool, but giving him a sitcom family seemed like a stupid idea. But it was still kind of fun. Now, how do I get my pet turtle to bark? Maybe I need to give it to my dog first.
I had a really fun time with this show. It was way funnier and surprisingly smarter than I would have expected from a cartoon about a wild beast with an insatiable hunger who speaks mainly gibberish. But I do wonder why the rest of the family wears clothes while Taz gets to run around completely naked. Is this an option I've had all along?
This is an option that I still exercise to this day. Because you know what? I work from home a lot. Like, people don't know what I'm wearing unless I'm on webcam. You don't know that I'm not sitting here recording this in the buff right now. You don't know.
Exactly. If you're on camera, just wear something up top and you're safe.
Yeah, just Winnie the Pooh it.
Winnie the Pooh it.
I'm pooing it. So what are some things that you liked about this show?
I think this show was actually way smarter than it had to be. The standouts for me being moments with Taz's dad and Bull Gator's like super calm delivery of just about every one of his lines. And coming back to it as an adult, I can appreciate the self-aware, sometimes very dry humor that the series as a whole seemed to have, and really credit the creative team for stepping outside of the simple slapstick box that they could have stayed in.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, they still stuck with a lot of slapstick comedy. Like, I feel like there was more slapstick than anything else. But the everything else that they included was really well done and really well written. The jokes and the gags were all really funny. I think they did a really, really good job of putting that in there. And a great job of allowing Taz to get into silly situations that we've never seen him in before, which just gives more opportunity for this character that everybody knows and loves. Because, I mean, let's face it, Taz is a standout character from the Looney Tunes echelon. I mean, how many people do you know are like, if you're like, oh, who's your favorite Looney Tunes character? Like, how many people do you know that say, oh, Bugs Bunny? It's always like Taz or like Tweety or the Roadrunner. It's like those kinds of characters. So giving one of those characters another chance to do more and on his own, I think was a smart move. And I do want to say, like, I really, really liked the Kiwi Land episode because it felt like, I don't know, there was a style to it and an absurdity to it that did feel a lot more like some classic Looney Tunes style comedy, you know? And I think it felt really strong to me because of that, because, you know, I guess you could have replaced him with, let's say, Wile E. Coyote or something like that. You know, it's something like that could have happened there, but they never would have taken it that far to where Wile E. Coyote ends up in another dimension or something. Don't quote me on that, because if that did happen, I don't want people to at me. But I think using Taz in that situation makes it even funnier, because Taz was always so much more of a somewhat more serious character than Wile E. Coyote was. So I really, really enjoyed that episode a lot for that reason. I think it was really strong. I think those gags were great. And just seeing him in an absurd space was so much fun to see.
Yeah, that was such an odd like direction they went with that, but they still made it work. And, you know, credit to the writing team for that. And speaking of the slapstick still, since that's basically all Taz can offer up without really speaking, he's just visual gags.
Mm-hmm.
I think they played it out very well where there wasn't really anything done without intention. It's like, sure, Taz gets pummeled by mallets, which on its own is kind of funny, but the lead into it with the Kiwi catch call and the pound sign just made it 10 times as funny without either under or overselling the joke. So I really appreciated that. And that's my favorite example, but the show is just chock full of those. And for as many times as you'll just see Taz fall and hit his head on the ground, you'll also see him fall from, the Empire State Building into water, go through the water in an elaborate scene, and then through an alternate dimension where he then hits his head on the ground. So it's like the lead into all these jokes it's kind of poetic, really, in how they play off these gags and make them more than just like, a mallet to the head.
Yeah, and I like that too because it is smart because they toy with the concept of knowing what the audience is already, has already experienced before or expects. We're expecting to see Taz, fall off of, the Empire State Building and slam into the ground. We're not expecting him to fall off the Empire State Building and land in water. And they were like, oh, okay, well, it's going to change to a water scene and then there will be a gag here. No, he keeps falling through the water, but then he falls out of the water and then it's back to, oh, he does still hit the ground and make a hole in it.
Yeah.
They toy with your expectations because they know what your expectations are. And I think that is definitely the cornerstone of a lot of the writing of this show is them knowing the audience well. And I think that shines really well. I think another thing they did really right was introducing a lot of really interesting antagonists for him. I mean, obviously, we talked a lot about the Gators. We didn't really see too much more, but we also got, like, if you can call them antagonists, I mean, they sort of are for him, or at least rivals, the Kiwis. And we didn't watch an episode with Bushwhacker Bob, but I do remember him from back in the day as being a standout character. I thought he was really funny when I was a kid. So introducing those new characters that, because Taz can't hold a conversation, giving characters for Taz to react to in those ways does a lot for the character.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I think, yes, he can't speak, but having such a great supporting cast really helps to fill in those gaps where, where speech is necessary. And I don't even think in the last episode anyone said anything because the Kiwis don't speak and neither does Taz. So it's just a dialogue-free episode, but still one of the great ones.
Yeah, I think it was my favorite out of the three that we watched, to be honest, which I think is interesting because there was no dialogue. But that makes me want to get into the dislikes because bringing up the additional cast and characters and stuff like that, that prompts me to want to talk about the one thing I didn't care for that much, and that was the family. I think the family thing is funny in a way. I like the idea of seeing him with this normal run-of-the-mill family life as something that happens once in a while, or if it was like a one-time gag thing. I remember even as a kid not really liking the characters much except for the dad. I think the dad is a funny character completely, standalone from anything else just because of how he's written and acted. But I didn't like I guess I didn't care for the archetypes and stuff, and I didn't like the dynamic of it with Taz, I guess. So I'm interested to hear what your thoughts were on them.
As a whole, there wasn't anything really about the show that I didn't like, but to your point, I think it could have done without most of that family. I would have been happy with just seeing it as like Taz with his dad, who is a single father, no other kids, and mom's out of the picture or something, because I think just that pairing is hilarious enough in and of itself. But I see what they were trying to do, and it didn't bother me completely, but I don't think the rest of the family was really necessary. And although we just got a short serving of episodes, maybe they do have some really standout ones, but just from what we saw, they weren't really important to the plot.
Yeah, and I know that it was a really important, or not really important, it was a really popular thing at the time to do was incorporate this sitcom type family into any kind of situation, even in cartoons and things like that. It was a really popular formula at the time, that part of the 90s and everything. I just don't think it was the best choice for Taz as a character, because he excels as a solo character or as an aside to one or two others. But like putting him in a larger unit, I think that's where he gets lost a little bit, and then we lose some of that, I don't know, personality that he's got. We lose some of what makes him special when he's not able to just, sow his chaos.
And from our research, we found out that Tasmanian devils are, in fact, not social animals. They do not enjoy being around each other. So
no, they don't. They'll eat together, but they do hate each other.
Right, but they're angry the whole time.
Yeah, which is not unlike, some families. They'll eat together, but still hate each other the whole time.
That's true. Taz's family seemed all to get along, though. So
yeah, they all loved each other.
Right. It was nice, but it was kind of contradictory to the way Tasmanian devils are. And for a character that they stuck so true to most of the characteristics of one, it was odd, but an obvious. I mean, it was a choice that, like you said, they made because of the 90s sitcom thing, just throwing it in there and thinking it'll be a funny scenario-based comedy, but it's like, meh. I mean, you could have done without that and it would still been just as funny.
Yeah, I mean, the two episodes we watched where he wasn't around the family were definitely much stronger.
Mm-hmm. So what would you rate this show overall?
Aside from the things that I said about like the family stuff, I really like the show. I know that they appear in at least like 2/3 of the episodes, but putting my bias there aside, I think that it shows some really, really good and smart writing behind it. There's really fun gags, and a lot of it definitely harkens back to some of that older Looney Tunes style for sure. So if you're a fan of that Looney Tunes style slapstick, if you're a fan of Taz, I think you would really, really love this show. And for myself, I would give Taz-Mania 4 bowls of reality-bending kiwi cereal out of 5.
Yeah, this show is really funny and kind of goofy, which made it perfect for kids, but was also written intelligently and was self-aware enough to have a surprising appeal to adults as well. So overall, I'd give Taz-Mania 4.5 big bowls of Kiwiland Crunch cereal out of 5, and definitely recommend checking it out if you can find it.
Kiwiland Crunch. Oof, that sounds violent.
Delicious. I was thinking delicious. That's a good cereal. I bet there is a New Zealand cereal that has kiwi somewhere in the title. There has to be.
Would it be kiwi fruit flavored?
Oh, what if it's the mascot? What if their like Fruit Loops has a kiwi instead of a toucan?
That would be interesting. If not, I feel like they're missing out on an opportunity here.
Well, yeah, you got to use your mascot for something.
Exactly. Let's get on that, Australia. Come on, let's get this together.
So thank you, Travis, for suggesting this. This was a lot of fun. I like this more than I thought I would. I remember liking it as a kid, but I appreciate it as an adult.
Yeah, same. You know what? I liked some of it as a kid, but I never got super into it. I think I actually have more appreciation for it now than I did back then, for sure. So I'm really glad that you picked this, Travis, that we got to jump into it, give it a spin, give it a twist, if you will. And
I
get
will
to sink our teeth into it like a fine scrap of metal.
Perfect. Well, listeners, looks like our milk supply is now run dry, so it's time for us to say goodbye. And next week, we'll be watching
Rambo, the Force of Freedom. Suggested via YouTube by Mark.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Guys, this made it to the top of the list somehow.
The top?
Wow. I think maybe we got trolled. But Rambo, Force of Freedom, it's happening. It's finally happening.
I want to make a prediction. This is not going to be good.
I'm going to make a prediction. It's going to be amazing.
Oof.
That's my prediction.
That's a bold claim.
Yeah. It's going to be
maybe
amazing.
Amazingly. Maybe we can agree, meet in the middle and say it'll be so bad it's good.
Yeah, I didn't say, when I said amazing, I didn't say amazingly good. I just said it's going to be amazing.
It'll be something.
Yeah, well.
Well, once again, I'm Joseph.
And I'm Chris.
And we'll see you next Saturday.
Presented by Nerdsloth.
A place for lazy nerds.
If you like what you heard, consider donating at patreon.com/nerdsloth so we can continue bringing you quality shows. Be sure to also leave us a review and share your favorite episodes and clips on social media. If you're looking for more content, visit us at nerdsloth.com.